Hey there everyone! Today I want to share my thoughts on the latest build of yet another Zombie Survivors. It's still early in development, having just been released in early access with a low version number. You know how these early access games work, they will keep updating and expanding it over time. Now, some of you might be wondering if it's worth getting this game right now. That's what I want to help you decide. I will talk about how the game plays, its features, and what could be improved to make it shine in the future. Keep in mind that the current version of the game is 0.2, so it's still in the very early stages of development. What sets this game apart is its theme: zombies and modern weapons. Most games in this genre are set in fantasy worlds with swords and magic, but this one offers cool upgrades like assault rifles, shotguns, grenades, and even drones. It's a fresh take on the usual survivor games genre. Even though I personally do not dig zombie themes, I still think it's a great setting for horde-like titles. And in case of this game, I appreciate the breath of fresh air with different types of upgrades available at our disposal. Okay, so you may be wondering how the game actually plays. You start each run with just one survivor who is the leader of your squad. Currently, there are 6 available leaders with placeholders for another 3. The 3 first characters are unlocked from the beginning. Those are SWAT, Tank, and Engineer. 3 other characters need to be unlocked by completing milestones. Each survivor has different weapon, skills, and a small passive bonus. For instance, we have Engineer, who has a taser weapon, electrifying skills, and a passive bonus for skills. Unlike many other titles in this genre, you can actually have a squad in this game. During your run, you will have SOS signals to answer, which will offer you to either add a survivor to your squad or get some cash and a level up. But here's the thing, you can have maximum of 3 survivors in your team. As is fairly standard in this genre, each run starts off with relatively underwhelming and slow gameplay. Skills and weapons of your character are not doing too much. Weapons have downtimes for reloading, skills are on cooldowns for quite a bit as well, and there are not so many enemies appearing on the screen. But with every minute passing, the tempo of the gameplay picks up. As you progress and upgrade your weapons, you can modify them into more powerful versions. For instance, you can turn Tank's shotgun into a rocket launcher. There seems to be 2 tiers of modifications available at the moment, and the further modification tier has a label of coming soon. So far nothing too crazy seems to be available for weapon modifications, but they are a significant and pleasant upgrades to have. Developers seem to play it safe with how powerful player can become during a run. And this is especially visible in another form of progression that we have in this title, which are skills. Unfortunately, this is where the game has its most problems. See, skills are just not fun. They are not really powerful, there are not many of them, and their cooldowns are really long. Currently, each class has only 2 skills available. Furthermore, skills have very long cooldowns and offer underwhelming upgrades. Many abilities have cooldown in range of 30 seconds, which feels like an eternity in this type of games. The worst offender I found was Helicopter Strike for SWAT. This ability has 45 seconds of base cooldown. Perhaps it wouldn't be a problem if the skill was really impactful, like clearing your whole screen worth of enemies or something like that. But all it does is this. Very underwhelming, isn't it? I would also like to see upgrades that are more interesting than adding +1 count or reducing your cooldown by 2 seconds. Some progression paths for abilities would be a very welcomed addition in the future where you would have to make meaningful choices. In fact, all my runs seem to eventually rely on weapons rather than skills, and when I tried to force myself to choose skills as my go-to upgrades, my runs finished extremely early. This leads me to the biggest problem with the game as it currently stands, the lack of build variety. In other games in this genre, you are able to create various types of builds. Some builds will revolve around quick movement around the map to avoid taking damage, while dealing high damage with fast projectiles or big area of effect skills. Or perhaps you create a defense-heavy tank who stands in the middle and utilizes thorns or some form of close-range barrier. In yet another zombie survivors, you cannot really create an identity with a build. Every run plays very samey for me. Sure, I could improve movement speed of my squad and select skill-based perks, but I always had essentially the same skills with the same characters and had to circle around the same enemies in a very similar fashion. Lastly, this game takes a really long time to start unlocking stuff and for your runs to kinda come together. I am not sure whether many players will have patience for that. Besides, there's like one song in the game that plays all the time, and in my few hours with the title I was able to play only one map. Overall, I would recommend you to wait for later versions of the game when the title is more developed. Unless, of course, you are digging this team so badly that you cannot wait to lay your hands on the title. Otherwise, there are far more developed titles to play right now, especially considering quite high price of the game as compared to other titles in the genre. Yet another zombie survivors has potential, and I hope developers will make it more fun and deep with time. That's all from me in this video. What do you guys think about yet another zombie survivors? And what would you like the developers to improve the most? If you enjoyed this video, then give me a thumbs up. It takes 1 second of your time but helps me greatly with feedback and with YouTube's algorithm. And if you really like my content, then consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for your time, and I see you in the next one.